Alrighty, so this is going to be a lesson plan that I've written. It is going to be a little bit altered for this particular assignment because when I asked some places that care for children, some friends, everyone that I talked to was uncomfortable with having their children videotaped and sent to somebody that they didn't know. And so because of that, and partly because of an interest of mine in online learning and how that works in a high school setting, I decided to alter one of my lesson plans and to, as much as possible, simulate as if I were teaching an online lesson. So this online lesson does assume you have the usage of a video classroom where all the students could attend a lecture and could respond both to the teacher as a full class as well as on side IMs to each other in a small group forum. It will ask you to bring up different YouTube videos, which I will show as much as I can by turning my video camera here to show that. However, for the most part, I will be focusing on trying to give the lesson as if the watcher of this video would be seeing the teacher, which would be me. So my name is Marissa Sheldon. This lesson today is titled Stereotypes in Literature. So from here on out, I will start it just like that. All right, students, welcome to our English lesson. We have our senior English students here today. We are going to be working on stereotyping, and we're also going to be working on analyzing some literature. So our objective today is that given a piece of literature, you, the student, will be able to write ways that that text, that literature, shows stereotype and defend that opinion using citations. So that's what the goal out of this lesson. And so what we're first going to do, I've posted here in the forum the YouTube video that we're going to start off with. So if you guys would please open up that link, and I'll give you some time to do that. It shouldn't take you more than about 2 or 3 minutes. The video is about a minute and 50 seconds long. So I'll give you about 2.5 minutes, and then we will get started here in the video chat room.
Hi.
Nice day, huh?
Yeah, finally, right?
Where are you from? Your English is perfect.
San Diego. We speak English there.
Oh, no. Where are you from?
Well, I was born in Orange County, but I never actually lived there.
I mean before that.
Before I was born.
Yeah, where are your people from?
Well, my great-grandma was from Seoul.
Korean. I knew it. I was like, she's either Japanese or Korean. But I was leaning more towards Korean.
Amazing.
Yeah. I'm Shasina. There's a really good teriyaki barbecue place near my apartment. So I actually really like kimchi.
Cool. What about you? Where are you from?
San Francisco.
But where are you from?
No, I'm just American.
Really? You're Native American?
No, just regular American. Oh, well, I guess my grandparents are from England.
Oh, well. Hello, Governor! What's all this then? Dropping the ball into you. Let's get a small tea. Double, toil and trouble. Mind the gap, beware Jack the Ripper. Bloody hell! Hip hip, cheerio! I think your people's fish and chips are amazing.
You're weird.
Really? I'm weird? Must be a Korean thing.
All right, so now that you guys have had a chance to watch that video, obviously there's some kinds of stereotype going on in that video. So first of all, before we get started discussing that, I want you to notice that I've posted the downloadable copy of The Monkey's Paw, which is a piece of literature we're going to be using in analyzing stereotype go ahead and download that now so that when we're ready to use it later, you'll have it set up. We won't have to wait for it to download. I know sometimes it can take a couple minutes. So go ahead and get that started, and then we will also get started with the rest of our stuff. So please either take out a pen and paper or open up a Word document, whatever you're comfortable with. What I would like you to do is for the next 60 seconds, I want you to just kind of brainstorm on your own ideas of how we may stereotype other people every day without realizing it. It doesn't have to be just me. It can be somebody I know. It can be examples from my past, things that I've almost done that would have been, awkward or embarrassing that would have shown a stereotype. Anything that you can think of that just shows like in our everyday lives how we might not even realize that we're stereotyping someone. So I'll go ahead and give you a minute for that to work on that. All right, so you've had a minute now to brainstorm on your own. What I would like you to do in your pre-assigned groups of 2, go ahead and get in your IM groups for that. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna have you guys just discuss with each other what some of your ideas were. I want each of you to use a minute. We're gonna do timed pair share. So each of you take 1 minute, explain your ideas, and then after that, what I need you to do is I need you to pick one of those ideas and be ready to share that with the class. So after you've talked for a minute each, pick one of the ideas that you feel is the best or is like the most poignant or one that you shared from your group, and go ahead and post that into our group discussion forum here so that everybody can read it at the bottom. And then one of you will explain super briefly just what you mean by that, just so we're all on the same page. So I'll go ahead and you'll have a total of 3 minutes for that. 1 minute each explaining, 1 minute to decide on which one you're gonna share and who's gonna share it. And I will give you 3 minutes. All right, so we've had your 3 minutes. I see most of you have posted your example. If you have not, please do so now. We're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna call on Savannah and Steven's group first. If whichever one of you has decided to explain this, if you'll go ahead and just turn your video on so that the whole class can see you and you can explain your idea, that would be wonderful. And you guys have written, it looks like, about an age stereotype. Okay, so go ahead and just turn on your camera and go ahead and explain that for us. So at this point, if I had students that I was able to videotape, they would be speaking right here. So just for the purposes of this lesson plan, I'm gonna go ahead and pretend that I am that student. Okay, so I'll be Savannah. Well, me and Steven came up with this idea that like a lot of times people think that old people play a lot of bingo, or that like only old people play bingo. But when I was younger, I actually used to play bingo. Well, it was with a lot of older people, but it wasn't like super old people. And so like I was also really young when I used to play. And so it would be like a stereotype to say that that only old people play bingo. And so that was what our thing was. We thought that showed a stereotype based on like age. So now switching back to teacher mode for the purpose of this video. Exactly. So as we can see there, that's really showing like how we might stereotype people of different ages. And there can be all kinds of age stereotype. We can do this towards young people where we expect them to be reckless, right? We can do it towards old people where we may expect them to be grumpy, or we may, I know, especially expect old ladies to be very nice, which may not always be the case. So whether it's true for that one individual, we can't say for sure whether that stereotype fits every person. And that's why it's a stereotype, because it doesn't really quite fit. So I'm noticing we have another one here. It looks like Zach and Brittany. You guys have done an example as well. So if you'll go ahead and turn on your video and just tell us a little bit about what you were writing there. So again, for the purposes of this lesson plan, I'll be pretending now to be Brittany and responding. So Zach and I came up with this idea that when I was younger, I had a friend who is African American, and I like automatically assumed that he was from Africa or like knew a lot about Africa. And so I asked like what Africa was like, and he's not from Africa, he's from Georgia. And so he doesn't have any experience with that. And so, you know, obviously, even though I didn't mean to, you know, like that was a stereotype. I was stereotyping him and expecting him to know like about Africa, even though the only reason I thought that was because he was, you know, African American and like the color of his skin. And switching back to the teacher. Exactly. So as we can see, that would be like a racial stereotype. So we're assuming based on just skin color, which really doesn't tell us much, we're assuming that there's going to be something that we can draw some information, when really the only information we can draw from skin color is the color of their skin, right? It doesn't mean anything about where someone's from. It doesn't mean anything about what someone knows, their intelligence, their ability. So as we can see, that is a very common stereotype, that people have this really strong roots to what we would assume would be Africa, but that person may not be from Africa at all. And they may not even be, you know, may not even have ancestors from Africa, right? So, I'm going to pretend that we've gone on through the other examples at this point, and that I have not heard any examples of social class or gender. Of course, with varying students, I might get varying answers. I might get very similar answers or very different answers. But just for the sake of this, I'm going to, as the teacher, say that I haven't heard a gender or social class example. All right, so class, I'm noticing we've got a lot of like age stereotypes, and we've also got a lot of race stereotypes. I know race is a super big topic in our society. It's something that we struggle with to understand, to be compassionate, and to learn about. Also, though, I'd like to point out a couple of other ones. What about gender? Go ahead and just type in the bottom of the screen here, yes or no. Do you think that we as a society here in America struggle with gender stereotypes? I'll give you just a couple seconds to type that out. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of you are saying yes. And so, why, just really briefly, can you give me like a 1 or 2 word answer that would sort of explain like why you think that? Okay, so I'm seeing a couple of like glass ceilings. I'm seeing women in combat. So yeah, I mean, as a society, we do tend to be stereotypical. We believe that women aren't as strong as men and that they can't be in combat. That's something common. And then also we have a tendency to believe that that women are not doing the same amount of work and therefore shouldn't be making the same amount of money. So that's exactly true. Now, what about, do you think that social class can affect our stereotypes? Do we have stereotypes about social class? Yes or no? Give you a couple seconds. I'm seeing a lot of yeses already popping up. A couple no's, but a good number of yeses as well. And so, really quickly, what would you guys say in one word? How would you characterize a person with a lot of money? Okay, so we've got a couple snooty. We've got like better than you type of attitude. That's true. And not to be mean or anything, of course. Please be respectful when you respond to this, but how would you often see or characterize someone who was poor in our society? So we see a lot of lazy, some of you have typed. We see dumb. And that is a lot of time a really unfortunate stereotype that we put on people who are having a hard time in our society. They are often characterized as lazy or dumb, when in reality, that's such a small portion, and it's unfortunately a stereotype that has applied to all of them. Or rather, has been applied to that social class. And so obviously we do stereotype about these as well. And so that's something that we want to make sure that we're keeping in mind as well. That was a couple different kinds of stereotype. I'm going to write here in our little discussion, the board here beside, I'm just going to write stereotypes, social class, age, gender, and race. And those are some things that you're going to want to keep in mind as we're going through the Monkey's Paw. That being said, I would like to introduce you to The Monkey's Paw. It's a story by W.W. Jacobs. It is a wonderful piece of literature. It's a short story. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to have you guys really look closely at The Monkey's Paw and to find those areas that show stereotype. We're going to be looking for specific words or specific phrases that you find show a stereotypical situation or are stereotypical phrases. Okay, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to paste a link to a recorded audio reading. I've read the entirety of the story. I want you guys to be able to hear it as well as read it, but I know sometimes our video here in the chat room lags out. So go ahead, follow that link. It's gonna take you about 15 or 20 minutes to listen to it, but I want you to really go through, and while you're going through and listening, what I want you to do is also be looking at your copy that you downloaded of The Monkey's Paw earlier. And I want you to sort of notate, just make a note for yourself when you notice something that seems stereotypical, because you're going to need to do a little bit more work on those after we listen. But I want you to have those little notes just as like going through the first time type of thing. So go ahead, follow that link now. Go ahead and go to that and listen to the book. Listen to the story, and then as soon as you're done with that, go ahead and meet us back here because we're going to do some group work on that. All right? I will see you in just about 20 minutes. All right, guys, so it's been about 20 minutes. It looks like everybody is back and ready to go here. We've just finished up listening to The Monkey's Paw as well as reading through that copy that each of you has. So I'm going to show you what we're going to be doing, what you guys are going to be doing in groups to look for those phrases. So I'm going to display here on the page so that all of you can see. We have the first paragraph of The Monkey's Paw. Now, I'm going to underline the phrase, the father and son were at chess. I'm underlining it because I'm saying that this particular phrase shows stereotype. So what I'd like you to answer for me is why would I say that that shows stereotype? And what kind of stereotype would we consider that to be? All right, so I want you to go ahead, just type into the bottom box if you have an answer, and then we will go from there. All right, so I'm seeing Miranda has typed into the bottom that she has an answer. Go ahead and Miranda, why don't you turn on your audio and just tell us really quickly why you think that. Now, as if I were Miranda. Well, the phrase, the father and son were at chess is like two guys who are playing chess, which is like a super like brainy game, I guess. And so it could show stereotype in that way, because it's saying that only guys, like the guys are the smart ones who are playing chess. And then as the teacher now. Exactly, Miranda, that would be a great way. And so that would mean that we're saying that this would be a gender stereotype, right? So I'm going to go ahead and type just in parentheses right next to that phrase, I'm going to type gender, as you guys can see. So go ahead and write that into yours as well. And just like highlight that phrase, underline it, something to notate to yourself what that is. And then let's see. Now I'm going to underline the phrase old lady knitting placidly. So I'm underlining that here. Now, same questions again. Why would I underline that as showing a stereotype? And what kind of stereotype do you think that that would show? So let's see. Go ahead and type in if you'd like to answer. All right, so Tommy has typed in that he would like to answer. And as Tommy, I say that it's a stereotype because like lots of old ladies like to knit, and so you could say that like it would be like an age stereotype because it's saying like old lady knitting, and so like that's what I thought. And as the teacher again, yes, exactly. So this does show an age stereotype. Now, there's also something else, and you kind of hit on it, Tommy, that you said that because it's an old lady. So we're not only saying that it's an age thing because she's old, but we're also saying that it's a gender stereotype, right? Because now we're saying, well, it's not an old man knitting, right? Which the only thing we've changed is gender. So we're seeing a little bit of both there. Because not that old ladies don't knit, but it is kind of like a stereotypical, like we expect old ladies to knit. Whereas we don't really expect young ladies to knit. We don't really expect old men to knit, just old ladies. All right, so that is a fantastic example. And I'm gonna write next to it in parentheses, because I've underlined it already. So now I'm gonna write next to it in parentheses, age/gender, because those are the kinds of stereotypes that it's showing, right? Now, what I want you guys to do super quickly is I'd like you to discuss in your ion pairs of two, really for just probably about 2 minutes here, if you can come up with a non-stereotypical phrase to replace both of these phrases that are in this first paragraph. So I need one non-stereotypical phrase for the men playing chess, and I need one non-stereotypical phrase to replace old lady knitting placidly. And I want something realistic. So I don't want something out of this world, you know, the alien was knitting, like something that would fit into this story. Okay, so we'll give you guys just about 2 minutes for that. Go ahead and when you have an answer for each, go ahead and type them for your group into the entire class chat at the bottom here. I'll give you about 2 minutes for that. All right, so we've had a couple minutes. It looks like most of you have posted on both of those. So a couple of really good ones that I saw for the men were playing chess. I saw that the mother and son were playing chess. So that's something believable, but still not stereotypical, right? We have a mom and a son playing chess, which is not something that we would generally see in a very stereotypical instance. Another really good one that I saw that I especially liked was that the instead of having a son, perhaps they had a daughter, and their young daughter was knitting, which still could, if you thought about it really hard, fall into a gender stereotype, but most often knitting is said to be towards older ladies, and so we are breaking that age stereotype and then even sort of playing with that gender stereotype as well. And just sort of like altering the situation, which I think is great. So it's looking like you guys are really recognizing what is and is not really stereotypical. And like you can think of ideas that aren't stereotypical. And so we have that in our minds now. And